freak.
Who you calling freak? Freak.
Now that the first 150 issues of the IDW TMNT line are done, I can solidly say it is one of my all-time favorite stories. But it is not done yet. In this year of ours, 2024, a new line of IDW TMNT comics have started, led by none other than Jason Aaron. This comes with two new comics running ongoing with the current TMNT run: Night Watcher by Junie Ba and Mutant Nation by Tom Waltz, Sophie Campbell, Eric Burnham, and other classic IDW TMNT writers. Now that we have at least one issue from each of these new lines, how are they going? I'd say pretty good overall. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna try to keep spoilers light on this one, but I highly recommend you read all the IDW comics first. I know it takes time, but these are really good and it's worth it. But like, spoilers for pretty much everything Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles anyway. The original IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run hit 150 issues across 13 years. That's insane, especially with how consistent it was able to keep itself. While it had some weaker moments throughout the years, the comic itself never truly lost its magic. Despite my gripes, this comic is my all-time favorite piece of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles media ever, and I highly recommend it to anyone who can read it. But that chapter's done, and a new one's starting. It acts as a jumping on point, but it is in the same continuity as the original 150, and there was no like timeline reset or anything like that. Like, this is consistently the same story, just with new writers and a new vision and a new tone going forward, which I like. I really like this new tone. I can be pessimistic sometimes, and I've had some gripes with my first reads of these comics, but now that I've reread them multiple times, I am ready for what's coming next. And so is everybody else, because these comics are doing really well. Issue 1 of the 2024 TMNT line sold 300,000 copies, which is a lot, and a good sign of success to come for this run. I hope it does well. Now, between 150 of the 2011 run and number 1 of the 2024 run, we did have a couple in-between comics in this continuity. Mainly, the Untold Destiny of the Foot Clan 5-issue limited run and TMNT Alpha. Untold Destiny, written by Eric Burnham, was not my favorite when I first read it. It's very much a comic that sets up for future events, and I didn't find these setting ups compelling enough on my first read. But since rereading with all 5 issues out, I really love this comic. IDW Karai is one of the most compelling characters in the comic, which says a lot with how many characters this comic has, and I'm really excited to see where her story goes, especially if it may be taking a villainous side as being implied. Despite literally working with the Foot Clan in this comic, Casey Jones is also seeing an improvement in writing. Casey Jones was up for contention as the best IDW TMNT character in the beginning of the run, but since then his writing has definitely faltered, probably the most out of like any character in this comic. So I'm happy to see him getting developed and written much better than before. I'm really excited to see how what's transpired in this comic affects the future. It's good. Other than that, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha was a one-shot specifically designed to tie the 2011 and the 2024 comics together, and it definitely did that in a way. Instead of directly sewing the timelines together and showing us a clear path to the new comic, the two stories here acted as more sort of a tease for what's to come. The first story by Jason Aaron showing Donatello in a sad state and clearly setting up for Donatello's focus issue in the first arc of the new line, and the second story continuing Hobbs' story after Armageddon Game and almost acting as a reset in a way. This second story, Monster Island, is like the goriest TMNT comic there's ever been in the IDW continuity, and I love it. I love TMNT dipping its toes into horror for once. It's awesome. Both of these comics, especially Monster Island, are really good, but we're gonna have to wait some time to see how they truly pan out in the scheme of the full comic. With Alpha out and out of the way and Untold Destiny complete, it's time for the first issue of the TMNT 2024 comic. I think it's fine. It's definitely not my thing as much, but I can appreciate it for what it is, which is a fun new take on the TMNT, especially these turtles specifically, which have had 13 years of development at this point. This comic is probably going to get better once we know the full story of what happened with Raph in the first 2 issues of Mutant Nation, but for now it's an intriguing setup, and I can appreciate what it's doing differently, coming across a lot more grim in tone than the previous comics. The original run of IDW TMNT was lighthearted, but also serious when it needed to be serious. This new comic feels like it's going the other way around, taking itself seriously first and then adding lighthearted jokes and stuff later. While at the moment I think I prefer the original tone, I can appreciate this still. It's great. It's hard to give a full grasp on the first few issues of this TMNT run because each of the first 4 comics are focusing on a different turtle on their own solo adventure, sort of like the micro series issues in Mirage or the micro and macro issues of the IDW comics. I'm not sure this story's gonna really feel like it's picked up until all the turtles are back together by issue 5, especially since we don't even have issue 3, the Leonardo issue, or issue 4, the Donatello issue yet. But hey, at least we got the Raph and Mikey issues for now. Speaking of Mikey, I love issue number 2 of TMNT. It's really nice whenever Michelangelo gets a serious story to chew on. In a world where mutants are accepted, Michelangelo is kind of thriving. He's a massive celebrity, but all on his own at the same time, and clearly depressed and angry at events we've yet to see unfold yet in the comic. On its own though, this issue is great, and I love the art and coloring for it. Jason Aaron gets Michelangelo, and it's really nice to see because Michelangelo is a hard turtle to write. I'm really excited for issue 3 of this run in October. These new mainline issues aren't all we have though. We also have Nightwatcher. Nightwatcher, a 2007 TMNT character turned into an IDW comic character, has had a lot of mystery surrounding him because despite many teasers, we had no idea who the Nightwatcher actually was underneath the mask until the reveal finally happened in issue 1, and it's Jenica. A lot of people actually figured this out, mostly because like it's clearly a turtle under there. All 4 of the turtles are like out of New York. This Nightwatcher guy is here in New York. Who could it possibly be of the turtles? Venus is dead. So yeah, in hindsight, it was pretty obviously Jenica. We've had teasers of full arcs incoming with this Nightwatcher line, but so far the first issue and the free comic book day preview feel like tone setters more than anything, and I love it. Juni Ba is an incredible writer, especially for TMNT. So I'm really excited that he's leading his own line in this new run of TMNT comics. Nightwatcher 1 is really good, and I highly suggest people get on this one early while they still can. I think it's gonna go some good places. Finally, of all the new TMNT stuff, we have Mutant Nation. And I think this is my favorite. Mutant Nation is acting as a sort of secondary comic for whatever stories these writers want to tell. Similar to TMNT Universe from the original IDW run, which ran for a couple years and got to show us some stories we wouldn't normally have gotten to see in the original TMNT run. There's 2 stories going on in this first arc setup for Mutant Nation. One about Raph going cross-country and encountering some problems, and the other about Casey Jones encountering some problems in the Foot Clan. Both take place before issue 1 of the new line, so it's kind of filling in some gaps there. And so far, it definitely has the tone and feel of the original IDW comics, probably because of the writers on hand. And I love that. I appreciate that we're getting that original IDW tone while still getting a new tone at the same time from the new writer Jason Aaron. It's awesome that we have 3 ongoing comics right now, and I'm really excited to see where this one in particular goes. The first issue is a really fun read, keeping that TMNT consistency as usual. And that's all we have so far. The IDW TMNT relaunch is still in its first steps, but I like it so far. While I love the new tone, I'm not convinced that every character is perfectly written yet. Like, I still want to see how the turtles separated and everything, because clearly something happened and we are not allowed to see it yet. So hopefully it's not disappointing. I'm really trying hard to tame the pessimist in me about it, because we have all these great starts to these arcs, but all these arcs could fumble their endings spectacularly, who knows. While I have faith that won't happen, I still can worry, you know? I think of all the times, this was the time for a relaunch. The original IDW run wasn't stagnating or anything, but it was definitely time for a new writer and a new tone and a new direction and everything. While I could write entire essays about how much I love Mutant Town, I also really appreciate that we're going to something new. And if these first comics are a sign of what's to come, I'm ready. Just don't mess up Donatello and we'll be good. Alright, that's all. Bye.
But try not to get scared. Scariest stories. I called cable company. Said they send theirs best guy to fix the problems. Little did I know, they sent